The place where Lebanon is, we call it the curse of geography. One of the countries I had a huge problem with was Syria. And that's because during most of the years of my life, until 2005, they were controlling Lebanon, and the security and the politics. And mainly the Christian community suffered from that. Maybe also the Sunni community, but more lately. And I wouldn't have imagined for 1 second in my life to sympathize with a Syrian. After the crisis started in Syria, many people came to Lebanon. And I was introduced while in Canada last year. I was writing my thesis to a Syrian friend indirectly by a Canadian. And he asked me to meet her, to get to know her, because she was asked to leave Canada and to present her documents, immigration documents, legally from her country. The first thought in my head was, it's good that the Western countries are getting awake. They're sending away people who are Muslims, because we feel that it's being invaded by Islamists. And obviously, we don't see very differently the difference between Muslims and Islamists. It needs time. For us in Lebanon, we always think that the West is the place where we could go as a final choice after being kicked out from the East. And it should be kept for us, and Islamists should not be invited with all these numbers. And that's a well-spread idea among the Christians in our country. But then knowing her a little bit, and then inviting her, and then getting some conversations with her, I started to feel this very human side of this person, and how much I was wrong about generalizing, saying, oh, Muslims, Islamists, etc. But that wasn't yet enough. And later on, I invited her to my 33rd birthday, and her presence was very special, getting very special, because she was forming an important pillar among other friends who form the identity that I'm proud to have. They were from different confessions, from different age groups. Some of them were ex-militia leaders, some of them were foreigners, and of course some family members. So this was also another step to know her. And most recently, something happened to her and reminded me of what happened to me 10 years ago. I was in exactly the same situation. There were many restrictions on the Lebanese on traveling abroad, and many more documents required from us. And I was traveling with Action for Life in going from Taiwan to Hong Kong, and I was forbidden from entering because I didn't have the visa, and they refused to give it in the airport because in 2001, after the 9/11 attacks, most countries, mainly the countries of those who were in the attacks, were given a really hard life in the airports and in the embassies. So, and as a result of that, I stayed 20 hours in the Hong Kong airport, waiting for my friends to come again and pick me, which was very humiliating. I was a potential terrorist for this embassy who told me openly, this is the reason why we refuse you. And then our friend Iman, who was supposed to come here to Co and for us to meet together here, she was also refused to come. She had to risk her life, come and go and pay the costs, etc., and deliberately say, you're not accepted, which hurt her very much. And on her face, I saw my face for the first time. My God, she's suffering and she's not saying it, just like me. We don't say it because for us, dignity is more important than anything. It's more important than asking for your rights. Sometimes you just swallow it because you don't want to see others to see that you have taken a slap on the face. And I invited her to come to my house. We stayed for 2 days and we had meals together. She got to know more my family, and her appreciating my family to that extent and me seeing myself in her, I think has broken all the, how do you say, the walls between us. And I can see how much we can identify with each other. So that was the story, one of the stories of openness that liberates you, finally.